A lot of stuff going on. Stuff's changing. We're seeing a lot of stuff come to market right now, as far as bigger kits from S&S. We're getting a lot of questions on bigger cams now. The guys have kind of figured out the normal cams, like the 550s and below, and they're starting to have more questions in what it takes to run those cams, because not everyone understands compression ratios. And the number one question I'm answering for customers is, hey, will that big cam work with my motor? And I'm trying to explain why there's pistons with domes and how they still are street friendly and they're on pump gas when they're paired with the right cam. I mean, when guys are calling in for you, what are you seeing? Because recently we just installed some S&S 128 kits for 2 customers back to back, both Road Kings, which was weird, both black Road King specials. And we took out the regular S&S piston. Someone have an S&S piston in front of them?
We do not.
We do not, but it does not look like that. It looks flat.
Yep.
It's actually got a negative dome.
It's a negative 7.3.
Yeah.
So their dome is a negative 7.3 cc dome on their 128 piston. Their 124 is a negative. They're all negative, and they're basically static 11-to-1 motors. So after you put your cam in them, they're a lower 10-to-1 corrected compression motor. So to run a big cam, we have the replacement. This works with the rings that come in the S&S 128 kit or an S&S Stroker 131 kit with a 4.250 bore. You'll run their rings, but now we have the dome, which allows us to run a later closing cam to get you more horsepower. And a couple cams we like, we have the MHP 588, we run a Ward Performance 550 camshaft, and that's pretty much a Star Racing 3/4 cam, which, you know, George also did our 588, so real similar, just about 2 degrees off of duration.
That's this one.
Yeah, 3 thou off in lift, but just awesome running motors. If you want a Ripper 128 and
That's it right there.
you don't want to spend all the money for a bigger build, that's kind of the happy medium between your budget big bore and not going all the way to one of our larger setups.
Half-seater.
Yeah, or something that takes a monster head and money gets way up there
That
real
really
quick.
becomes the limit of what we'll run on the stock bottom end at that point, right? Beyond that.
We can do
we're-
a stock bottom end.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's like the limit of what we'll run on the stock bottom end. I get asked that question a lot. Like, where am I safe on the stock bottom end? That is it, man.
Well, safe on a no, this is not this isn't. We don't recommend this on the
I
stock
don't
bottom.
recommend. That's
So
what I'm saying.
what Aaron's saying is we recommend a big bore kit with stock heads. So 128, 124 with stock heads, stock bottom end all day long. You start putting heads on top of a stock bottom end, and that's really where you start pushing it. Now, it's hard because you could run this. You could run 150 horsepower stock bottom end, and it just be the perfect one from Harley, and it lasts 70+ thousand miles. But you could have one that's a little tight and it not make it. So it's a gamble. We don't see a ton of them where we pull them out and they're done, but we do see a number of them when customers bring their motor into us with a 114, 117, 107. We pull it apart and the connecting rods are kind of like stuck in place and we have to physically move them.
Flywheel races hanging off the side of the flywheel.
But it's not all of them. So you get a really nice flywheel that's loose. Man, it might live the life of the thing making 150. We don't know.
The more you go past that stage 3 territory, you're pressing your luck.
It's better to do a flywheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our 131 is a mandatory flywheel.
Yes.
Hey, Randy, there's a lot of people saying there's something wrong with the audio.
Hold on, guys. We're going to fix this audio.
Thank you for letting us know. We don't know what it sounds like on the other side of the screen.
That sounds good. It's coming through.
Okay.
All right, guys, if our sound sounds funny, let us know in the comments. Otherwise, we're going to rock and roll. So when you are putting heads on a bike, you're spending all that money. We recommend the bottom end because we've never seen one of our bottom ends fail yet in any of the builds. And if you're investing that much coin and that much performance, we want it to stay together a long time for you guys. That's why we recommend it. So if you're doing a stock bottom end, up to you. That's your thing. We're not warrantying if the bottom end lets go on the stuff we warranty. That's the difference. If you want to run our heads, we build it. Cool, you can. We'll do it. It's just on you at that point.
Yeah, FXLRS, I know they might be a little bit a ways away if you're in the Northwest, but they are the best shop in Phoenix. And I used to work in Phoenix for 10 years, so I've got a lot of experience in that market. Superstition's the place to go.
Yeah, and when you find a really good dealership, you want to take care of them too. There's not too many out there that can do all kinds of stuff and pretty much handle anything you throw at them. So when you find a really good home Harley dealer, take care of those guys.
Yeah, stay with them.
Yeah, they're going to take care of you too. And,
Yeah.
and those guys work hard every day. And sometimes, they might get busy where you can't get through on the phone, but try to find your guy there and be loyal to him in that shop and take care of him.
I pushed the button on my remote and I hear better now. I love the internet.
That's awesome. So on those kits, we got the dyno sheets in front of us. Can you pull up the dynos of those pop-up piston 128 kits we just built, Randy?
Like this one, right?
It'll say Wise. It's the email I sent you that says Wise.
Wise and Smith.
Just Wise, the one that's single.
All right, that's up.
All right. So this right here is a SNS 128 kit with a built flywheel in it. It's got a pair of our MHP Street Fighter heads on it, which is a plus 1.5 oversized valve head done by Frankenstein Engine Dynamics for us. And it is running a Star Racing 3/4 cam. So a Star Racing 3/4 cam is 585 lift. She closes at 42 degrees. And it's just, it pulls hard from the bottom
It's
and
a
it
dirty
makes,
cam.
it's making what
Sounds
one of our
dirty idle.
131 cubic inch motors making. So a lot of these 132s, which SNS
Not on the
is
torque, but on the horse for sure, right?
is marketing as 132, which is a 131 point something. It's the same as the Harley one in all reality. This cam really sings in those motors when we give you a little more compression with a domed piston. And why did these guys pick this setup on their bikes?
Mr. Wise he is an absolute ripper. He's an older gentleman and he has a Road King and he's like, I want everything I can. This is the budget I want to stay in between. What can I do? I'm like, well, we have these pop-up pistons we can pair with these heads, the 90 cc's, and they're fantastic. So he let us run with it. It took a little bit of time. We just naturally took some time on the schedule, but we got it all done. He absolutely loves it. So he's picking it up tomorrow, actually. So really looking forward to seeing him. It's been a long time working with him, so I'm happy for him on that.
Well, and when you buy the 128 kit, it's a really good price point on the components that it comes with.
Yeah, everything.
So, you can piece out a 131 and we can definitely increase these numbers, but if this is enough and price is part of the option, then we can run the pistons with a kit that is already a value point price because it's all the parts included, so you don't have to buy them individually. Anytime that you're going to buy a package deal, it's a better price than when you buy the components outright. It doesn't matter what industry or what type of components you're buying. So you get the luxury of pairing a great price point with top of the line power when you go with this kit.
Absolutely. And SNS worked with us years ago. I think that was 18.
Yeah, when we developed that.
We did. So there's the regular SNS 128 power pack, 124 power packs out there that they sell, and then there's the Moonshine one. And what's different about our kit is we run our camshafts.
That's really nice.
We will run an SNS camshaft at times, but their kit typically comes with a 550 cam.
And valve springs.
And valve springs. Ours doesn't come with valve springs.
Or a cam. And
Nope.
it comes with head bolts.
It comes with head bolts, and theirs doesn't. So it's a little cost. Ours is about $2,200, and we don't have it on our shop.moonshineharley.com, but if you call in, get a hold of Nick or Aaron, we have those guys in stock pretty much all the time. And we did that. That way, if you're running stock heads, you compare it with our 492 cam, which our 492 is 492 exhaust lift. It's a little bigger intake lift, and it was designed to max out stock heads. So if you're running that kit on stock heads, we're going to move you to an MHP 492 camshaft. If you're going to pick heads, we're going to figure out where you're riding. Do you need a pair of pop-up pistons because you want to be a ripper on a 128 and you want to do a more budget build, big bore kit, 128, and you're racing? Or do you want to do something where you're touring, you're around town, you want all the power right off throttle to the middle RPMs? And that allows us to pick it without spending more money on a kit, trashing the cam, trashing the valve springs if you don't need them. So it's just easier to start at that level. And we put SNS head bolts on everything.
Every bike.
Every bike we build.
Yeah.
So having them in the kit just keeps you from buying them separate. And that's something, Mike, you did a video on that in 17 or 18 about head bolts back then. So we run a stock cylinder stud with an SNS head bolt.
It's about 131.6.
It's hard to beat. It's a nice setup.
We do run, the ARP head bolts and some of the more exotic studs if the build requires it, but our go-to is the S&S head bolts and stock studs.
To Mike's point, not everyone wants to spend $600 or $500 on a pair of
Yeah, head bolts.
Hey, I did on my bike. They're nice, but it's not needed. The S&S one saves you money. You can spend that extra $300 somewhere else in your build and get something cooler. If you want
Nitrous.
the ARP, they are nice.
Yeah, and they're actually rated for a second use, which the Harley ones are a one-time use only. And a lot of people figured that out the hard way. I mean, we did. It
Yeah.
doesn't really say it anywhere other than, sometimes the service manuals will trick you because there'll be, anytime it says replace this with new, replace it with new.
Or better.
Yeah, or better.
Is Neil the one that came and saw you from MTC?
Yeah.
What's up, Neil? Sorry I wasn't here, but I'm glad you're able to stop by the shop, see Mike, get a tour. Super cool for you to travel up here, see
Yeah,
us.
it's cool.
Yeah, we got to put one of those clutches in something. Maybe when
The warranty. The warranty is going to depend on the year of your bike, as far as what the term can be. So call one of us. We can go over that with you.
Usually, yes. If your bike's not warrantable, we may be saying instead of putting a motor on this one, why don't you go pick out a new one and give us that one to sell?
Flyboarding Flash, hey, they are head studs. I mean, it's a stud that comes up, but the Harley setup is a little bit different than normal automotive because you have a longer stud and then you have a female bolt, which would be your head bolt that goes on top. And
Which is technically a nut. It's confusing.
Curtis is asking about the cop bike. Curtis, the cop bike is Jamie's bike. You want to talk about the cop bike, the 145 project?
The cop bike.
yeah, we need to finish it. No, real cool build. It's the sister bike to what George Bryce is doing, or the brother bike to what George Bryce is doing at Star Racing.
I think
It's
ours is the brother bike.
the brother bike. I'll ride either one of them.
He did 109. He just
wanna
tuned
ride
it.
that
He
thing so
he, he texted me today and said he got 190 horsepower out of it.
No way.
Yeah, and that's just his first initial go at it. He's got tweaking to do, but at 4,600 bore, it's on the short stroke, so it's a 4,375 stroke, and it's set up at corrected compression of like 14 to 1, almost 14 to 1.
Stephen, that is the correct technical term for that bolt. I nailed it.
Where did he put it?
The second from the bottom.
And Scooter, Scooter's out there kicking everyone's ass on a stage 2.
But it's a lowrider S, yeah, I think
with
it's
a
sick.
485 cam and a good pipe on it.
Hey man, a
And I've seen the
0.5
videos. He's putting hurt on people.
a
with that bike.
0.5 launch will get you every time.
He's on the tree. He's getting them in the. He's getting them. I've seen the videos. I showed you some.
Those are
of
nice
those videos.
bikes.
Jordan was running like a 0.7 launch consistently, right?
Jordan's a killer on the
He's-
track.
yeah,
man.
he's a
He's
killer.
good.
Yeah, he's got really good clutch control.
Yeah, we'll go over that one. Yeah, our 485 cam, we did with Star Racing and George Bryce, but we partner on several things together. Valve springs, George has the same exact spring as us. We do the same cams. It just depends on what it is and what it started off as. Like his 3/4 cam and our Moonshine 588 are a little different. They're close, but a little different. We wanted something to pull a little bit more on the top end, so we had to move some durations around a little bit. But we work close with those guys over there on certain projects, and it's good to have multiple companies on the team. Fueling does stuff with us, S&S, Star Racing, multiple others. So it's just cool to have the collaborations and work good with everyone. That way, if we need something from someone that specializes in something we don't, we have them on the
The
team.
data flows all those directions all
Yeah.
the time. It's really helps us all.
We all the same goal. We all want to do good.
Yeah, and us guys in the bike market, there's not a lot of us around. It's not like
Right.
the car world where there's a cool performance shop in every main city. So we all got to get along, and all the companies out there
Turbos
are
everywhere.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for your guys' turbo build.
Oh yeah, we are working on a turbo 135, which I'm really excited about.
Me too.
Well,
And a semi-stock turbo.
Yes.
So
And we're
we're-
going to run the 485 cam on.
we
that
just
as
did
well.
Oh, really?
a couple nitrous bikes.
nice.
We got the nitrous sheets,
We
right?
need the keys in the wash bay.
Yes,
I'll
no.
be going
can you
to
go to my
lunch.
printer? I think there's 4 papers. Good thing you
No.
came.
Well, you've got. Do you have it on yours?
He does, but I can't see it. Wait till he gets it. We'll go over something cool here in a minute. On the printer, there's papers printed out with Dynograph.
I mean, it was like plus.
Plus. The most
200?
current Plus 1.5 had what springs are on them.
Those are KPMI, I believe.
Good ones.
Well,
No, the newest ones?
Well, no, right now they're KPMIs. We have a brand new spring that is out, and we're going to be putting them on it, but they will have PSI springs on them. very soon. Both of them have titanium retainers. They both have tool steel CNC locks on them. Both really nice setups, but our new spring will be on those heads really soon. And if someone needs a set with those springs on them, we can do those right now as well. But our current head is good for 625, the Keeble Whites, and the new spring we can go a little bit over, but no one really has a cam bigger to use it, and we wouldn't run a cam that big on those heads anyway, typically.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, Scooter, if all you got to do if you want more power is bring the tractor down, and we'll work it out.
Josh was asking about the fueling cleaner. Yeah, we've seen them. It looks really good. We've been working on a cleaner, which is right here on the table, to flow all the air. Sometimes
All the air.
All the air. Sometimes when we work with cleaners, there's metal mesh behind them that really impedes on the flow into them and covers up area in the cleaner. Sometimes they just don't have the volume for the size motor. So it just depends on what motor you're running. A lot of air cleaners on the market are for a stock 114 or 117, and they're really not adequate to do something over and beyond. The fueling one will. This is our new air cleaner. We have multiple different covers. We have multiple different backing plates and a different system for it. This guy should be out late March and be available to be purchased. But we spent a lot of time on this. Frankenstein Engine Dynamics has done all the dynamic flow on this guy to make sure it can do. Mike over here has been working on the dyno to make sure that you're not sacrificing horsepower putting this on your bike. And we currently have options for most throttle bodies out there, like a Harley 64 millimeter or a stock throttle body. This guy is for our 70 millimeter HP or MHP throttle body, and then we will have some stuff for in case you guys are running a horsepower incorporated throttle body as well. So we're trying to go over all the throttle bodies. That way you can run a really cool air cleaner from us on whatever setup you have.
Those are badass.
Yeah, they're super clean. They're not going to be the cheapest air cleaner on the market, but it's a really cool piece of CNC aluminum.
I love the big filter.
We had a ton of people at
The,
PR asking questions.
the
about
actual
that.
air filter element, when they're released, will be gray or black.
Really?
Gray, like a graphite.
Yeah, it'll be
color.
like graphite,
Well-
not green.
Well, with all, yeah, this one we just did for a show.
Yeah.
Frankenstein does green on all their stuff, so we did that for the PRI show. Really cool filter, but we will come out with just a gray because all the bikes are black now. And we've done red for so long, we want to do something different. Now, if you clean your filter, you buy your filter from us and you clean it, you have an option to buy whatever color oil you want to go back on it. Because the oil that you spray on the cleaner is what gives it color. When you actually wash it, it will turn
Black.
No, it's gonna be like a light gray. It'll be like the color of this pen, but it just depends how old it is. We will have options for red if you want it, but we're pretty much gonna do two colors, which is like a dark gray, or
We have blue too.
you can buy the blue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
get
have blue here.
Well, we won't have
on
the
deck.
filter in blue. They can buy the oil in blue
Yeah.
if they want. So really cool
Dwayne, I
setup.
saw your message. Thanks, man. That was definitely a team effort. You're great, man. Anytime you need anything, let me know. Oh, we're losing everything.
Ooh.
Eric, I saw you on there and glad you're enjoying
Blackout.
that bike,
Sandy
buddy.
dunes. We've got the sand dunes going.
Oh yeah.
All right, your guess. How many grains of sand in that hill?
I was watching Dakar the other day. That looks like the
Can you
race
display
I
that
watched.
dyno sheet that says Gutierrez? Let me know when it's up.
A little nitrous oxide action.
I want it, but I fucking.
You want to talk about it? It's your customer?
Yeah, man. Mr. Gutierrez said the 135 wasn't quite enough, and beating on what AMG Black, AMG 63 Blacks.
Well, it was a lot until he had a
Supercharged.
car give him a little bit of a hard time.
Okay, so
It had-
it was faster than an AMG 63 Black, whatever it was that touched him. Because the video I saw, he smoked a 63 Black.
Right.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of beep, 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 beep coming from the guy in the Mercedes.
he came to us and said, "Okay, what else can we do?" And so Jamie and us here, we all kind of put our heads together, especially on this end of the table. A little bit of work from GRC. Colin came down to help us out with some programming and some dyno tuning. But if you can see the graph, that is a 50 shot of nitrous on one of our MHP 135 setups. What is it? Almost 217 horsepower. That's just ridiculous.
203 foot-pounds of torque.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they hit the button at like 4,600 RPMs on this pole. And we were just over 150 horsepower when you hit the button. As soon as you hit the button, within, let's see, 300 RPMs, there's a almost 40 horsepower jump. And then give it another 300 RPMs, or another, let's see, 1,000 RPMs, it jumps over a 50 horse.
It's like an instant, it's like a horse kick to the head, just taking off. And what's really interesting about that setup too is that it's a dry shot. There's not any additional fuel being introduced from an external source. From an external source.
It's a wet shot.
But it's done on the injector. If you want to,
Yeah,
I
so
don't
it's
want to go into too much
well,
detail.
it's a true wet shot, and how we do it is it has 2 tunes in the bike.
Right.
So you're going to have a tune for normal rideability. You're going to arm your nitrous setup. So when you hit the button, which we program the horn to do, the horn is going to switch over to the alternate tune, take your injectors from spraying the normal fuel it gets, and we're going to give it the extra fuel
It's
it needs
rowdy.
for the nitrous. So the extra fuel is coming through your injector, so it is a wet shot because your injectors go from the normal percent load to the new percent load tuned for the nitrous, and then we have it entering right into the intake
Well,
manifold.
what I was driving at ultimately is the beauty of that setup to me is when you look at the bike, you see one kind of discrete line. You can kind of bury it in there like you did on yours, where you really don't see it that much. So it's kind of a cheater system, if you will.
I don't know whose theirs is or yours is.
Theirs that
Next-
has one
next.
located differently.
I don't need nitrous. I would
You
ruin
can
everything.
because
on
you
my
don't
bike.
have fuel lines and
You can make it a sleeper.
you can make it a complete sleeper. You can hide it.
Whose?
And until by the time they find out, it's too late, if you will.
Curtis, we beat your 181 the other day on another 143.
Well, mainly
Yeah.
because of exhaust.
It was 100%.
You know?
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. Exhaust on this. This made that kind of power not on any kind of special pipe or anything. It was an off-the-shelf thunderheader
Yep.
that handled that kind of power.
So nitrous works.
Nitrous
Yes.
definitely works.
Yeah, so what Aaron was saying by a dry shot is most nitrous setups, you have an alternate fuel system separate than your normal fuel system that's running on a,
Its own solenoid and all that kind of stuff, right?
yep, solenoid. So just like the nitrous, you'd have a nitrous solenoid and a secondary one. What's nice about this is we don't have to worry about a solenoid not working. It's working through the factory fuel system, and the factory pump and everything was able to handle it, no problem. We didn't have any problems there.
And all pump gas out of the same tank. It's not like there's another shot of 110 coming in along with your 92 or 91 octane fuel. It's all the same fuel being metered through the computer system that you guys developed.
Yeah, it's just cool because
Super sweet.
you have two computers. So when you're on the button, it flips over to the secondary computer run the nitrous. As soon as you let off your button, it goes right back to the factory ECU to control the fuel system. Hit the button again, right back to that one. It flops, so it's nice, it's clean. It cleans up the bike. There's less stuff to break. The more parts you put on anything, the more parts there
More
are
failure,
to go
yeah.
bad and fail and just take care of. So real clean kit, you know. Hey, we're not warranty no nitrous bikes. So you're on your own on this. They're cool, they're fun. Caution, once you have a nitrous button on your bike, you're going to want it on your car, you're going to want it on your toilet, your refrigerator,
Lawnmower.
your mower,
On your toilet.
You're going to want nitrous buttons on everything you own, so it gets costly quick. But it's cool, but it's not something where you're going to run down the road, be beating up your bike, and it's at this extreme high temperature, and you're just going to be hitting the button all the time. If you want to play with nitrous, it's set up for the track or doing something on a Friday night where your bike, you know, you've been riding it for, you know, less than 10 minutes or so. You get out there, run it, and then you're done for the night.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something where you're just traveling down the highway. You're going to be goosing it all the time, hitting nitrous. You'll have problems with some head gaskets.
Oh, nice.
Jordan's
and other
test
stuff.
ride report was more along the lines of you'd better be pointed straight and have both hands on the bars.
Yeah.
And be
That's why
ready.
we put the button on the bars.
Where else would
You don't have to let go. You just go like this with your left hand,
Yeah,
and you're on.
Yep.
it's
So
rowdy is a good word.
Yeah,
super cool setup in
Right.
case you need something.
but I will break something.
We have those capabilities. You can call Nick or Aaron. We can talk to you about the options, what to expect, and what you need to know in case you're going to be doing something like that.
Demarion, to answer your question directly, yes. The way the system works is when it's armed and you're at full throttle, when you hold the button down, the fuel enrichment happens and the nitrous is injected. When you get off, it goes away. So yeah, you can modulate it. If you're getting loose, bail out of it, get back into it if you have to.
Is the graph still on the screen?
I can put it back there.
Put that on the screen.
I
real
like
quick.
that. Nitrous on the bike, propane on the truck. I love it.
Yeah.
So the graph before
Put it
his
on his
135
motor,
before
nice.
nitrous max horsepower was at 6,600 RPMs and it made 174. Hitting the button at 4,600 RPMs, the bike made 216 horsepower. So it's a pretty big difference. But the biggest difference is right at that 46, from 46 to about 5,500, that's over a 50 horse jump instantly in 1,000 RPMs. That's that seat of the pants feel. That's when,
Yeah, it's
you know, you're playing with someone and you guys are close, or, you know, if he's got you by, you hit that button and now you are, you know, light speed, you're Star Wars. You hit that button, you're gone, everything's going by you pretty quick. So really cool setup, but you can see the graph there at the end. We could have hit it early, but there's no real reason to. But what a difference, and that'll do that on pretty much any size motor. But
Well, you're not going to want to hit it too early because of timing, and you know it's not a variable stage shot, so you're going to want to be up in the upper RPM, and that's when it's going to do you the most good anyway.
well, you don't want to be hitting nitrous and lose traction
Yeah.
and have it sink straight to the rev limiter. That
Right.
would defeat the purpose. So,
Yep.
you know, a fourth gear pull right there at 4,500 when you shift back, that would be great. You just don't want to be hitting in second gear and blow your tire off and sing to the moon in RPM.
Really quickly before it goes off the screen, Travis, please call me at the shop tomorrow if you'd like to pick up a set of heads. I want to check stock, make sure we've got everything for you if you're making a trip. Also, with regard to the ported intake, we don't do core exchanges on those. If you want to pick one up, we have them in inventory, and it's just a direct purchase for our ported 64, 66 manifold. So call me tomorrow. Let's get it set up in advance.
Yeah, if you have one and you
Yeah,
buy
that's it.
a
Not
ported,
carbon fiber.
Not carbon fiber.
Well, I will say to Bear, everyone needs the power we supply. Everyone.
well, this manifold too, the 66. We put the 66 on stage 2s, and it likes
do.
it.
Loves
It's
it.
just
117, yeah, they love them.
yeah, any
114s and 117s.
yeah. You're doing a
If you can
big bore.
afford it.
You're doing a big bore kit with stock heads. Put it on it. You're doing a stage 2.
Yeah, man.
Put it on it. It just allows there to be more air behind that intake valve when it opens.
Before I got my big bore kit, I was going to run the 64, 66 on my 107 stage 2, and then I started messing with some more stuff, and I'm doing more, but I was going to see what's going to happen. You never know.
It's always more. It goes
Yeah.
like this, and then like, okay, we're going way up
Oh,
here.
it's a snowball.
Let's see. 4,000.
Bad to say, but the 114 is a lot of bang for your buck when you do a stage 2.
Right. Well, and you can add, you know, the difference between the 107 and the 114, you're always going to add that. So you can put a $4,000 build on a 107 and you might get 105 horsepower, but then when you put it on the 114, you're going to get 114.
Work within your means.
Do we have BSTs in stock? I have
Probably.
some in
Yeah.
stock. I just sold a pair of them today, so we're out
Ooh, I
of
saw
a
those.
lot of them. The rears, I believe we have the rear 10-spoke Torque Techs in stock, but we don't have any of the
Just black.
yeah,
Just
standard
gloss
black.
black.
Yeah,
standard
but I don't
black.
have any fronts in stock right now.
They're coming.
They're
It's
coming.
not
Yeah, they're
in
on the way.
stock.
They're not here. But call me. The quicker you get an order in, puts you in line for when stuff does come in. So you get the first that arrives if I have an order with you.
And they move fast. It's
They
crazy.
move quick. Yeah, it's funny because I remember them asking like, "How many you think you'll sell in a year?" And they laughed, and here we are.
Doubling it.
Something else to think about when you're doing stuff is we've been building a lot of bikes, and we build them with BSTs, we build them with stock rims, CVO wheels, and customer selected wheels. Picking your wheel, if you're looking for performance and you really want to be putting as much power to the ground, and that's you, that's not everyone. Some guys just want all the power and they're never really doing full throttle, but if you want a really cool dyno sheet, you got to make sure you pick a wheel that's not a real heavy, big chunk of
Spoke wheel.
CNC
Yeah.
aluminum rear wheel.
70, 75 billet aluminum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like the
'cause-
135 we did
So it'll
recently,
weigh
right?
45
the sheet
pounds.
definitely reflected it, and you were asking like, "Wait, what wheel is on this?" And
Oh, yeah.
It's
that's my
heavy,
guy.
so it
you
was
could see it. You
was
could
a
see it in the
yeah.
sheet.
SMT chrome fatty wheel.
The 140.
Beautiful wheel.
Yeah.
I mean, awesome looking wheel.
Oh,
but
your guy.
was it heavy?
Yeah, we have a video coming out on that that'll drop. Will it drop tomorrow or next week, Randy? When are we gonna finish that?
Probably next week.
Tonight?
Next week we'll go over this. It's
Tonight?
the
Come
chrome
on, Randy, what are
fatty.
you doing?
Deadline.
The chrome fatty video's coming out. Real cool bike with a fat tire front, but that
Beautiful
bike
bike.
that motor always makes over 170 horse for us, just consistently over 170. We put that heavy wheel on it, it's the 10 horse decrease.
It was.
Heard it.
It was 162. Nice smooth graph because once you get that thing moving, it's just smooth, but it definitely sacrifices on the top
But
end.
in that
You can
case, he knew going in. We had that conversation. I told him in the beginning of the build because the whole genesis of that build kind of worked around that wheel combination.
Yeah.
And he saw a picture he wanted, and he knew what he was going to get, and he was cool with it. But we got the most we could with the look that he was going for. So.
Right. Randy, do you have those graphs where it was both? That was the Owens one we used for the video.
Yeah, give me a second, I'll pull it up.
Can we see it too? Can you put it on the screen as well?
Is that your Grinder account, Randy? What is all over there?
Hey,
Wait, is that me on there? What's going on? No.
you know this is
Farm animals, that's weird.
Yeah.
you know this is a corporate internet
He's like,
account.
fuck, I gotta quit swiping for 2 minutes.
sorry. I have no filter.
That was a good one, though, man.
It just looked familiar. I noticed it, so no.
It looked all too familiar.
Wait a minute. It's my computer. No.
Some bitch is cheating. That's my man.
Dude.
Well,
You weren't
before we
lying,
saw
those are
Egypt again, somebody was asking about
Told you
Techno
my wife
Research.
loves them.
The
Yeah, Lee
direct
Hartley.
link program is it's real intuitive. It's hard to explain the differences because if you're not like into tuning, then it doesn't really matter. But we like it because it's easier for us to interact with the interface itself. The tunes are stored on their cloud. Now, there's been a lot of EPA hoopla about tuning, which we've kind of worked all that out. But Techno Research is not going to be eliminating the direct link portion of their software because it's integrated in their cloud with their Centurion diagnostics program, which is not going away anytime in the near future. So those shops like us that have existing tune licenses will be able to continue to use the software. And it does a lot of background filing that some of the other programs don't do. So it's more intuitive for the person tuning it to dial it in. That's why we like it.
Nevin, you can run TPMS on BST wheels. It is a special BST wheel set up for the TPMS, but yeah, that is doable. But when you make the order, right, it is a different part number than a regular one.
It is,
Correct.
but I gotta say right now, trying to work a couple things out with BST based upon it working properly. So we might need a little bit of time on that one.
Yeah, so when you order yours, it'll be ready for it. You know, you can call these guys, we can get it
Pre-drill.
set up.
But yeah,
That's something that's been in the works for a while.
Sam Mooney, you don't want, your bike looks so good, you don't want the fat front tire. If you do a carbon, the carbon's the only way to go on the fat front tire. There's so much weight when you have that rear tire now on the front of your bike. Aaron was talking to a guy earlier about when you're going down the highway, it's fantastic. You hit big bumps, it's great. But if you like to turn your bike, you want to stop quickly. In my opinion, the fat front tire can never stop quick enough like a factory tire can do, when you especially have carbon wheels. But if you do a fat front tire, do the carbon wheel, because now you're probably at the same weight as a stock wheel. That's his best of both worlds. You get that visual look you want to get. Yes, maybe a little smoother, that thicker front tire, but the fat front tire it's heavy. When you ride one, you'll see what I'm talking about.
It will never perform as good as a factory front tire.
Grab a bicycle wheel, spin it, and grab it by the axle, and then do this with it. And then imagine doing that with 40 pounds on the front of your bike. Same thing. You'll never move it as smooth as you normally
they
can.
resist wanting to tip in quickly and be super responsive.
And then they just drop in.
If you're on the interstate, like the guy I was talking to on the phone today,
Yeah.
you're going down the interstate, awesome. The bike bolt upright, feels great, but the moment you want to start to really maneuver quickly and really hustle the bike, to me they feel numb, like in your hands, like they just don't want to tip quick, they don't respond quick, they don't change direction quickly at all.
And that's just our opinion. Some
That's
people
my-
might love them.
I've ridden several of
Yeah.
them, and I have obviously the opportunity to ride a lot of different bikes here, test riding stuff, and it's not something that I ever do on my bike, ever.
Yeah, it won't perform as good. And no matter what we do, we offset the extra weight with a carbon fiber rim. That's great. But we can never offset the double amount of rubber it takes to put a 180 on the front. The tire is twice as wide. It's massive, and the weight that's the best is closest to your axle. The farther out the weight is, the worse it is, because it's rotating, it's moving faster, you gotta stop it. The tire is the farthest part from your bearing on that, and that part is really heavy, and it's a lot of rubber. Now, if you want the look, and you don't care about performance, and you don't want the performance bagger, awesome bike. But if you are asking us, hey, is this going to turn as good? Is it going to react as nicely? Is it going to be as flickable? No.
No.
So you got to be okay with those. You got to want the look to sacrifice something. Like women, when they wear a high heel shoe, it's not because it is comfortable. It's because they want that look. The same thing on the bike. You want the look, you're going to give up something. But they're cool, but
Not running a marathon.
it's just not the performance setup.
Well done. Stamp of approval.
You explained that really well.
Let's see. Somebody was asking questions about the 485 cam. It is, in our opinion, the best stage 2 cam you can put in the bike. The way that it makes torque off the bottom, there's nobody out there that does that. It gets peak torque right off the bottom, 2,500, and it carries out about 5,200, 5,300. And most people that are putting that cam in their bike are on a heavier bike. They're not looking for a higher RPM cam. They're going in there trying to get maximum torque. They ride with their wife. Some pull a trailer. That's where the 485 shines. And what's nice about it is later on, if you want to add it to a stage 3, put on your stage 3. It's great. You're going to have all the torque off the bottom again. And it is a cam that we work with Star Racing with as well. Again, George is great. We work with that. And then the 45 is probably my favorite cam. It was in my stage 2 107 for about 15 minutes until I bought a big bar kit. And then I took it back out. Then I put another cam back in it. But the 45 is a beast.
You went through 3 cams, I think, in a series of about 5 days.
And it's hard to talk
Because
about.
he's trying to save money.
JD's in my ear like this. My dad has bought a 23 ST
Look at,
and
he
he
hit
put
it.
a
Like,
45
what about
right
the
on it.
F35A?
I hope
You
your
went-
wife's watching this.
You
Is
went
she watching?
45,
She doesn't care what I
F35A, 492, and now heads, I think, right?
But then why do you always say it's her?
Yeah, didn't you?
I have
go
a
through that?
550 on a 128.
That's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
you went 45, F35A, 492, 550.
No, I had a stock cam, 45, 492, and now I have a 550, and I'm not changing it. I'm leaving it alone. I want that chop on the Thunderheader. We go wheelie the Road Glide, see what I can do. Yes.
What motor size?
The 550. So to run a 550 cam, you can run it on a 124, 128, 131. But when you
Dirty
pick
on
that
131.
cam, you have to pair it with a pair of heads.
Absolutely.
If you,
You're going to want some compression.
yeah, if you run that thing with stock heads, and
Slouch.
yeah, it'll be a dog off the bottom till you hit 35, 3,700 RPMs, then it'll be a ripper. But when you pair that with a pair of heads on a 128 or 124, it's a ripper from right off idle. That's actually a torque cam
It
when
is.
paired with the right setup, but you need heads with it. That's the common. So we like that cam. If you want the highway sleeper is basically a 128 heads in that cam.
And that was actually
Gear
one of the
driven.
motivating factors for us producing the MHP power kits, was because the other kits came with that cam and you were locked into it. We didn't want to be locked into that cam. We had other ideas and other choices that could be made, so we stripped that away, went a different direction, and now we can take what's good out of that kit and really use it to our advantage and pair it with the right cam for what the people are doing with it. So
Well, yeah, that cam can be good in that kit, but if you don't buy the heads, it's not. So it just depends on the application where you're at. The 540 and some of these new SNS cams, we've seen them, we've seen what they do. We have some other cams up our sleeve we would rather have than those ones that we've been working with, and we've made some of our own cams that work very well. Those cams are a little bit different. They're trying to fill the gaps out there for cam choice, but depending on what motor we build, we have our favorite cam or our favorite 2 or 3 cams per motor that we build. And we just don't have those cams into our program with our setups. The new 540, the 590, because we have other stuff. We have our 588, we have some wood cams, we have a Ward Performance cam, we have Star Racing cams, and we've designed kind of motor packages around those cams already.
If you're going to spend the money, I mean, we try so many different cams on the bike. It's hard to take our word for it, but we do 3 to 5 tunes a week. We know what works good and doesn't work good for applications, so some people might not want that high horsepower cam as they're on a really heavy bike. You might see it and love the graph, but you might not love the cam when you're out riding it, so pick and choose a cam for your riding style.
Bushmaster. Hey man, King of the Baggers is super cool. We help out some teams with certain things, but we're just busy in the shop. We got a backlog of customers already trying to get to us. We're anywhere from, depending on what you need, a month to 4 months out. And if we went racing King of the Baggers, that wait would get longer. So looking at that and looking at taking care of all of our customers in our business plan, we decided to sit by the sidelines and watch it. We love it. We love what's coming out of it. The Screaming Eagle orange pump and plate for the M8s came from them going to King of the Baggers. Some of the other stuff they're coming out with soon probably later this year, they developed building those bikes. Having the OEM invested in that racing program has allowed them to learn a lot and see what these bikes do under that much stress. So you're going to see stuff hit the market continuously for the next couple of years from those guys racing, which is super cool.
That's one of the
wheels,
coolest things
too.
about racing is like the way that stuff filters down into the OEM constantly. And we're seeing it again, like we talked about wheels, man. Like the BRL League finally approved
Did you see that?
a carbon fiber wheel for Bagger Racing League. It's a little bit different. It's a 7-spoke
Seven-spoke.
wheel, but that's going to be available pretty soon too. So we'll keep our eyes out for availability. Manufacturer of the 7-spoke wheel, if you like that look, maybe
They're
here in the
tight.
near future we'll be able to get our hands on those and get those moving out your guys' way too.
And it's nice to have another option of wheels. They only had the two before, the Torque Tech, the Twin Tech. Now to have a third option, awesome.
Aaron Schweiger, changing cam from the Fueling 592 to the MHP 588 on 131. Those cams require different pistons.
Yeah, they're totally different.
So we got to build the motor. If you're running a 592 Fueling, you're going to do it's actually a negative 0.5 cc dome piston on that setup. That's a torque cam, kind of really good mid on that motor. If you want top end, the MHP 580 is going to be top end. It closes 10 degrees later. So the 592 closes at 34 degrees. It has less duration. The MHP 588 closes at 44 degrees. And it requires a domed piston. We run a plus 5.5 on it. So it's a total of 6 cc's different between those two motor setups on what cam you want. So if you're a racer in mid RPMs, we're going to do a 588. If you're heavier, touring, you're not really getting past 4,500 RPMs, we're going to do a 592.
Yeah,
So
Sorry, go ahead.
depends on your riding style. Both rip, they'll both be awesome, but just two a little bit different motors.
I don't know it.
I don't know. Schweiger was a Apex Road King that we built. And the bike being lighter, I recommended to do the 588 cam. I don't think the extra weight of that bike was going to make a difference with the 592, so we ran the 588, and it worked great for his bike. I believe he was like 157 horse, 152 torque, so it was great. And I love running that setup on the Road King because they are lighter and they ride like RPM like that.
That
I love
cam's awesome. I
It
mean,
is.
it's my favorite setup in the 131. I like the 588 on a 135 too because it's got the horsepower, it's got the torque, it does a lot of stuff really nice. And if you know how to get in the throttle nice and quick, it's got just got a torque table that comes up and it just gradually keeps growing all the way
straight
past 5,000
CC?
RPMs, which works really good.
Oh, I don't know
Also,
CC.
remember when we stuck that? We stuck that on,
Bob Prestridge.
no, we stuck it on a 143
Oh, that was Lazama.
for, the Silverback.
Yeah. Silverback, yeah.
It didn't make all the horsepower on that 143, but
torquey.
you ride that bike, and that was one of the most impressive daily rider bikes I think I've ever ridden, where the power is, how it comes on.
It's fun on the track.
It was really fun at the track. I mean, we were letting air out of the tire. The track was prepped, doing burnouts, and
Still blowing
Still
second.
couldn't get-
couldn't get down the track with that bike because of the tire on it, and it had like a Shinko on it. But it was just amazing to ride because it just had power everywhere you wanted it. It's not one of those dyno sheets where you're going to see 180 horsepower like Mr. Hoke, but it made like 170 some horsepower, but the torque curve
It
on
was a
it
beast off the bottom.
Yeah.
for everyday riding, amazing.
And super immediate. Like it comes on quickly.
I think it's fun to ride. I got to ride it for at least
Hey,
an
we're in
hour.
Milwaukee.
You look like a museum.
He sees the tanks. He sees the tanks.
Oh man, no.
This is our break room.
Yeah, this is our new break room, and we need it for a
We
while.
call it the Sky Lounge.
When you go to Milwaukee and you go to the museum, which only Harley has a museum like that, and you see the tank wall of all the tanks over the decades and the years, it's just an impressive wall, and it's one of my favorite parts of going to the museum. I always go to the tank wall, look at the different stuff on them, see what's going on. So we just wanted to duplicate it here, and our team that put this together killed it, and it's really cool.
This man right here.
Yeah.
I mean,
Good job.
Can you make it?
Mark,
Show
I see you.
Look at that.
Look, it looks like you finished it an hour ago.
Camera two.
Mark, I see you on
So-
there. Sorry about your cases, buddy, but hey, that's your fault, not mine. You like to play, so.
So, Brian, there's really no
Dude,
amount
did-
of power that
cracked
maxes
the
out the
left
belt
side
drive.
case.
Oh, we didn't build that.
No. We tuned it.
We tuned it.
Mark's like a solid 325 and a couple butt heavies, and you won't catch him. He's fast on that little bike.
Won't catch him.
Well, that was a factory flywheel.
It was.
What are you doing?
He says, "How dare you?"
Hey, you like cheeseburgers on me, bro, so it's on you.
We still don't know what happened,
Tell
though.
him that's what a man's supposed to wear.
Yeah. Good for you to break it like that. No one else does that, so kudos to you.
It's gonna drop everything, head down to the HD Museum. You will be sorely disappointed. They're probably closed. I think they got snowed in, right? We had one of our techs was there for school, and they shut down his flight, and he had to ride the bus.
It's like the second or third time this year I've heard of like planes, trains, automobiles story of guys trying
man.
to get to and from.
It sucks sending people to Milwaukee in the winter.
Oh, guys, bro, you got to come to Tennessee, man. Hey,
No,
we
you
will.
don't. Carl Webster.
No. He's
Send
saying
him
he was
down.
going to head down to the museum if we were sitting down there. He's like, man, I thought you were Milwaukee. I was about to drop what I was doing. We'll be up there July. So for the Harley Homecoming, big deal. The Foo Fighters are playing. They got some other hot headline bands going on that week. Super excited. 120 years doing
crazy.
exactly the same thing they did the day they opened their door as they are doing today. They're one of the only companies in America that have been able to have that record and doing it exactly kind of how they were doing it the day they started. There are other companies that have evolved over time, 100 plus years, but they've fallen off, they've come back, they haven't been in business consistently doing exactly the same thing the day they opened. So really, really cool for Harley to get there. We're glad to work for Harley, be part of it. I mean, there's other bikes out there we like too, but you know, we're black and orange all the way.
Brian, you don't have to run. You don't run a headed motor on a 485. It'd be not the proper combination on there. When you start to do heads on a bike, you're going to be like a minimum around like a 540 up
With a
on
later
lift.
close.
Correct. The 485 works very, very well with a stock piston. Just the way you do it on here. You never want to put heads. If you're going to put heads in your bike, a completely different combination.
Jamie was talking earlier about the
We got
pop
Harley
up and
plus
the
one.
pistons and the way that the timing of the cam can affect your final compression ratio. If you go to the piston that we need to run with the head and get the flow that we need, you'll outrun the 485 really quick. So better to go with more lift, take advantage of the flow of the head,
Later close.
and close it later. And then, yeah, much better running engine. It's just, I hesitate to call it too small, but literally it's too small.
It is,
right?
yeah. It's like 24 degrees.
Ricky Bobby, hey man, if you read something from a manufacturer like S&S and they say don't do this because of this, follow it. So if your run out exceeds the amount of run out that the manufacturer tells you, do not do it. You're gonna have
5,500.
Yeah, it's gonna run. So
For a minute.
if you're over, it'll run, but eventually it's gonna stress on the gears and you're gonna break them. It's gonna be a bad day. The Harley factory pump will run on more run out than the 5,000 run out. And if you want a better pump and plate, as long as you have a 2020 or newer pump in your bike, you're great. So if you're running a 17 or 18 Milwaukee 8, grab the brand new. It's just the pump, right? It's not a pump and plate.
It's both.
It's both? Okay, so you have to buy the pump and plate, but get it from your Harley shop that's local to you and put that guy in it with your setup. You'll be great. Now, if you already have a bike that's a 20 or later, rock the factory pump. You're not going to have any problems. When you do swap your cam out in that setup, though, there is a seal on the back of your pump. We recommend putting a brand new one on every time you remove it and put it back on. So make sure you do that. And if you're a customer buying an S&S pump and plate or someone else's pump and plate that has the groove for the seal, make sure you get the seal from your Harley dealer. Run it. Makes a difference.
624-00205. Buy it.
Again?
624-00205.
Yep. There's a groove right in the back of the pump. Make sure that guy's on there. That part is critical.
131. I answer this question on the phone a lot.
Header.
Well, yeah, well, why does my header glow? Blah, 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 blah. You have a Harley 131. You can thank the EPA for that. Mike, you might want to expand a little bit more, but the factory
I love it.
calibrations on the 131, yes, we hear all the time. Very lean, my bike runs hot. Yeah, they're trying to be extremely clean. You don't have any fuel.
Well,
it's
when
not-
you use the Harley-Davidson motor package and the Harley-Davidson tuner is designed for the Harley-Davidson exhaust.
EPA
So
compliant
when
one,
you
yeah.
start mix matching parts that were not designed for that tune, it's no different than putting one of ours on and not putting it in the dyno tune. They have their maps are designed for their components, and when you stray from that, the map that is in there, the tune that's in there is not designed to do it. So it may run lean or rich depending on the setup you have. Most people like to put real free-flowing short exhaust because it looks cool and sounds great, and it's going to run extremely hot, and it will probably shorten the life of your engine and cause handling issues or performance issues. So if you're going to run the Harley 131 setup because you want to be warranty compliant, then just run the whole thing and it'll run great. That's it, I'm out.
Drop the mic.
Bob's asking about the SE heads. Hey, the SE heads are nice. You know,
Really nice.
Our heads are going to
Yeah.
flow more air. It just depends on what cam choice you're doing and what you're going to do. If you need a pair of Screaming Eagle heads, we got a couple pair of brand new takeoffs with no miles on them that you can call Nick or Aaron. We got 2 sets left.
Great torque setup.
Yeah.
Oil cool black. But yeah, if you want a real torquey bike, we compare that with a torquey cam. It's awesome.
Fantastic.
Our heads flow a little bit more air, which allows us to have more cam options to do more things. But that head's a really nice head for what
It
they've
is.
done.
Right.
And we've had some torque monsters with that setup.
And you can't beat it for the price.
Change the springs, their money.
Yep.
The 22XD cam spooner, it's a great cam, but again, if you spend the money on doing a stage 2, a stage 3, put the proper cam in there. You're going to get a little more torque, a little more horsepower, and you're going to spend that money. I know with me, I want my money to go as long as possible. So if I do the proper cam in my setup with the right combination, I'll be happy with it. The 22XD is a good cam, but there is better stuff out there. We get a lot of questions about that.
We run.
The 475.
Well, we'll just stop right there. We run the MHP 45.
Yeah.
We've tested it. There's
tested all of them.
SNS 475. It outhorses it. It makes torque right on the bottom. The only time we do a stage 2 that isn't the MHP 45 is if we do a trike. Because an SNS 465 makes more torque on the bottom, makes less horsepower. We do that cam. If you have a real heavy setup, you're going to be pulling a trailer, you have a trike on it, we're going to go to an SNS 465.
That makes the most hit right on the bottom where Trike Guy needs it.
Right. The MHP 45 will out-torque the SNS 475. It'll out-do a 480, and it'll make the horsepower on the top. We have a couple cam comparisons we'll put out with it, but we ran them on the same bike back to back, and it's just on the money. And George Bryce's Star Racing, I mean, that cam is just, it's a unique cam.
It's on the money.
You hit like 35 to 3,700 RPMs, and it's just a little bit over all the rest of the cams. And then all of a sudden, it's like you hit a button on that cam, and it just goes away from the rest. So it makes it easy because before we got that cam and had that option, we sold 5 or 6 different cams. But now that cam outdoes those other 4 over and over for us with all of our data. And we've sold, we've done over 400 of those camshafts.
At least.
And
in bikes.
keep in mind too, you know, we've talked about this before when we're doing these discussions. It's the pairing of all of the components. You know, other shops will use their cams and pair it with exhausts and intakes and stuff that they do, and they may run great. That's fine. You know, we pair it with a certain type of exhaust. We do our induction a certain way, and we tune a certain way, and you see, I mean, the results are what they are.
Yeah. it is
Josh
what it is.
Josh
runs
is asking
hard.
about a TTS 175. No, we've never messed around with that cam. They have some good cams out there.
I think we've tuned with that before, actually.
You might have. I just didn't
I've
see
never
the
seen
sheet on
I
that
think
one.
it was something crazy. I mean, it's all the same.
Yeah.
It was like a glorified
Now,
460.
if it'd be the 45, we'd all know exactly what it does and how because we
Yeah.
want to know. But it's probably a good cam. It's just, you know, we're going to tell you to put an MHP 45 in there. 1, it's ours. 2, we want you to have as much bang as you can have in your bike.
Absolutely, yeah.
The other thing, oh man, what was I going to say? Someone had something else up here. To get the power we get out of ours, we're putting this manifold
Yep.
on almost every, well, not always the ported one, but we're always putting the 64
64.
millimeter with the wings inside. Let me see that. Can you zoom in on this, Randy? Is that possible so they can see the throat of this guy? All right, you zoom in. Over here.
We're losing everything.
Let me know when you're zoomed in.
Dude, I've got to use the restroom.
All right, these little winglets in the inside help the air turn the corner. So that is on the Harley Screaming Eagle 64 millimeter. Make sure you get the one there. Their Extreme manifold doesn't have that in there. These aren't in the Extreme. So instead of buying the Extreme, you would buy this one from us, which is the MHP 66 millimeter, done by the boys on our team over at Frankenstein Engine Dynamics. Really, really nice piece, really clean. So it starts out as the Harley one, 64. We port it to a 66. We run a 64 millimeter throttle body on it. We're also probably going to have a 66 millimeter throttle body come out, just because the Harley one's always on back order for everyone. They're always calling. So that's in the works. We don't know when it's going to come out. So don't cancel your orders for anything you have coming now, but that's in the works coming down the pipeline.
And this manifold right here, again, we've used it with really good success. I mean, I've done it even on a couple of 107s with a 64 millimeter. Stage 2, 114. Anything I do stage 3, I try to get these in there if the budget will permit it. It's worth a couple